open session from closed session. So in closed session, we discussed 3.1, public employee, 3.2, conference with labor negotiator for our different groups, 3.3, conference with legal counsel, although we only discussed one there. Is that correct, Superintendent? I think it was just one. Did we do 3.4 and 3.5? We just did 3.5, I think. Okay. So let me see. The motion was made by Member Thomas, seconded by Member Martinez, to approve a settlement agreement between the district and certain parents. And that's it. So that motion was approved. That item was approved. We can't get into specific when it comes to special ed students, so we just basically are generic on it. Okay. And I jumped the gun, so we need to do the pledge first. Can you join us? Anybody from one of the schools would like to lead us in the pledge? We'll follow your lead. Okay, there you go.
The United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who is that good-looking young man that led us in the pledge? No, he's one of the I know. Thinks he's a student, but no. So we already reported on closed session items, so we go to the approval of the agenda. Before we do that, I'd like to pull, Superintendent, you want to pull?
I have a request to pull. I would like to pull item 13.4, the specifically resolution number 2127, and also pull the portion of the personnel report that is relevant to 13.14, because there's one item on there that would be pulled with, that's related to 13.14.
13.14?
Yeah, and amend the personnel report accordingly.
Okay. And then we need to pull per our special education director, we want to pull 15.9, the achieve.
Okay.
Chief kids. Okay. Anybody else want to pull any items? Public, board? Okay, with that, I need a motion to approve the agenda other than the items we just pulled.
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
As amended, thank you. Appreciate that.
I second it.
Okay, the motion is by Member Thomas. The second is by Member Martinez.
Gutierrez.
Oh, Gutierrez, I'm sorry. Okay, let me open the voting. Okay, please vote. Okay, motion passes. 5 ayes. Okay. Superintendent's report 7.1. Superintendent.
All right, we're ready. Thank you, President Rodriguez, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. Before I start, I do want to welcome Cesar Castillo, one of our new student board representatives. And now we'll have a chance to hear from you later in the agenda, but I want to personally welcome you. I have a few things to report on, but nothing extremely lengthy. First of all, relative to the Newark Memorial student representation for the remainder of the year, in discussions with our board president and members of the board, Sierra and Caesar are going to be representing our district as board representatives, and I think that part of it is helping Caesar transition, because Caesar will be with us next year as well, is part of the goal. And, you know, I think we're having a hard time saying goodbye to Sierra. She's a senior this year. So we're making space for both of them. We got to work on the seating a little bit, Caesar. But we're glad to have more students' voice in the room, and I think that's a very positive thing. And we're going to begin to spend some more time and sending you, Caesar, to other CSBA training and other things that we'll probably be bringing to you as far as training, so you fully have a way to bring true student voice to the table and to have that with the board, and that's really the intent. So I didn't want anyone to, you know, why do they all of a sudden have two people? I think it's just a good idea to do a smooth transition and make sure you have the support you need and get you on the right track, and hopefully help us get a larger student voice in this room. So welcome. I have a reminder. Brown Act training for the entire board is Thursday, January 31st at noon, and it'll be facilitated by Greg Danis in the board library. So, just reminding you and gently nagging you about that. Yes.
Since we have Mr. Dennis coming and he's available, and I assume it'll almost be in a lecture type or presentation type mode, it might be an opportunity to include some of our other staff that could benefit from that training.
The intent initially was to have all cabinet join, but okay. We'll also extend it to other staff that might be interested. We could look at that. Okay, thank you. A couple more items. We're almost there. In front of you, you each have a gift. And I wanted to start with this gift for the board and myself as we are starting with the new board team. And what I have for you is a book that I've just finished reading. It's called The Culture Code, and it's about the secrets of highly successful groups, and hopefully can be a good framework for us to look at as we begin working as a new team to help improving and always working on making a better culture and climate and developing a culture of trust. It's based on some brain research as well as some good research around what leadership groups do when they're really effective. And it's actually a quick read. I think I read it in a couple weekends. It's a good book. And besides the book for the board, I've also taken the liberty to include a few articles on highly effective school boards for your pleasure in reading. And you have a notepad in yours, a notepad that I like to use. And if you open your notebooks right now, and you also get a notebook, this is the last part of my presentation. You have a sheet in there that looks like this about board retreat options. So I'd like you to think about that, take it with you if you need to, or consider which of those dates might work for you, because I'm trying to coordinate board training. We have secured a trainer who is an expert trainer on Masters in Governance, who will be bringing the New Beginnings curriculum to all of our board, but it's customized for us. And I know a couple of our board members, or maybe 3, are going to training this coming week. But the person that's going to be working with us is Steve Ladd, who's one of the key trainers for CSBA, as well as Josh Daniels, I believe his last name, from Berkeley. So we have a retired superintendent, we have a current board member, and Chelsea Kang, who is from CCEE. And this is all paid for by the CCEE. So they're just looking to carve out time with us to have not just a one-shot deal on how do we work as a team. And I'm extending this also to students. So if we need to work through some things, Caesar, I'll work with you with the school site to try to get kids we want you guys in the room. But all I need from you on this is just take the time, look at your calendar the next few days, check the ones that work for you and put your name on it. In case there's questions, we're going to try to see where there's some agreement so we can start planning a series of training. And really what I'm looking for is about 10 to 12 hours total. We can do half days, we can do part days, full days, depending on how ambitious. I think I would recommend 2 to 3 hour intervals is probably a good starting point, no more than 4, and do a series. And we could look at a longer day maybe in the summer, but this kind of maps out some options that I think might work. I tried to pick Fridays the week we're having a board meeting because I know many of us, if we do something, it's then, or Saturdays that follow that. So if you fill that out, that's great.
Question.
Go ahead.
Doesn't necessarily mean we're doing the entire weekend, let's say the 15th and the 16th, and the full weekend, let's say April 5th and 6th. It just means whatever days are available.
If I can get you each to pick 4 to 8 of the, let's say 6 to 8 of these, out of that, I'm hoping to yield maybe 4 dates that work.
Okay. They don't have to be consecutive is what I was
They don't have to be
Okay.
consecutive, and I'm staying away from March because our facilitator's out of the country. So if you could give me your top, your 8 that you might be able to work out, after I compile them and see where there's agreement, I'll let you know where that lands. And the last piece I wanted to share was for Cabinet, they're also getting the book assignment and the book study with us as well, but they get an additional book, so they didn't get articles, they have another book to read. That's about servant leadership based on Robert Greenleaf's work. And this book is really good relative, because every chapter is done by a different practitioner. So it's real world application. So that's part of their assignment. And for you, it's a book study. For them, it's homework. So that concludes my report at this time, President Rodriguez.
Before we go to the student reports, which is next, I stated at the last meeting that being board president now that not that it wasn't done before, but I just want to make sure that we're consistent, is to our central theme or everything that guides us is going to be about courteous and respect for each other. And we normally come out at 7 o'clock for open session, and we were late. Our budget workshop ran a little long, and sometimes in closed session when you're talking about litigation, different things, it tends to go along a little bit. So I do apologize that our intent is to come out at 7. And then I also wanted to, at this time, thank members of the community that have been very, very, very nice, and condolences, because my mother-in-law passed away a couple of days ago, and we have a very caring, loving community, and even though you try to keep things quiet, people tend to find out, and which is the way that's why I love Newark, and I've been here for 45 years. So we have 3 new board members, 1 that was elected in November and 2 that were appointed recently. And the community is beginning to welcome them, and we appreciate that. So moving forward, and a welcome to Cesar, right?
Yep.
Okay. And what year are you in right now? You're a junior? Okay, so you'll be with us 2 years, hopefully? Okay, yeah. We look forward to, and I think anything you need from us, we're open to, share our, whatever we can share. Okay, with that, Superintendent, we'd like to move to the student reports, please.
Great. Representatives from Newark Junior High. Is anyone here?
As you can see, I'm wearing the snow. This will be my last year being president after all these years. So every meeting, I'm going to try to wear a different shirt from a different school. So this one has to be snow. And my intent was to put on the high school one later. But so anyway, if you guys, I do have a junior high one, but it's a little tight. So if I can. So $20 is normally what we pay for something like that, and I would love to give you money so I can get a nice junior high school sweatshirt. Thank you, ladies.
So please tell us your first name and grade you're in.
Okay,
please.
so my name's Inez, and I'm in 8th grade.
And I'm Vanessa. I'm in 8th grade.
So the school's excited to be back in the new year, but before the break, the leadership class hosted a winter carnival. We had many festive activities like mini games and Christmas music. Plus, we had our annual presentations about the impacts of bullying. Our topic was putting our peers in the spotlight and antagonizing for the fun of it. And speaking of spotlight, the junior high's band and choir are hosting their winter concert. Our girls' soccer team also won the championships before we went on break. We played Canyon and won 3-0 in a well-played game. We went undefeated all season.
Coming up, we have a report card night, which gives students and parents the opportunity to clear grades up to teachers at the school. The school is also hosting tryouts for girls basketball and boys soccer. Leadership students are also brainstorming ideas from Pennies for Patients. So far, we're coming up with appropriate dares for the staff if the school raises over 5,000. We are looking to beat our high of 4,400 for leukemia. We also just had a school-wide spelling bee. The yearbook club also took pictures of it. Upcoming events include our Great Kindness Challenge and No One Eats Alone Day. We are working to make our school a better place to be, students by students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent.
Representatives from McGregor campus.
Welcome.
Hi. Good evening, Superintendent Sanchez, board members and cabinet members. My name is Autumn Duranda, senior at Crossroads Independent Studies Program. So our Bridgepoint Culinary Arts hosted our first annual school-wide holiday meal on Friday, December 7th. They cooked everything themselves. We were joined by a few special guests, our superintendent, Mr. Sanchez, board members Rodriguez and Martinez, and MVROP administrators and staff. We served 60 Bridgepoint students. Everyone had a nice time and got to interact with everyone. Our canned food drive ended before Christmas break. Over 80 cans and boxed foods were collected. The TOW program won the contest. They collected over 50 cans. Administration treated them to a pizza party last Friday. Our young men's support group meets every Friday. The students seem to really enjoy that class. Our second quarter ends Friday. There will be new students at both Bridgepoint and Crossroads. Thank you for listening. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Excellent.
And Newark Memorial, I don't know if it's Caesar and company or just Caesar tonight. So, anyone else here with you?
No, I believe it's just me.
You're on.
All right, so I apologize for a short report. It was on short notice that I'm coming here to give the report.
Oh, turn on your mic, please, Cesar. Thank you.
We like
Is that better?
short, so we're
There we
okay
go.
with it.
All right, so finals have been going on. We began yesterday, ran through today, and we'll be finishing up tomorrow. Both the students and the administration seem to be enjoying the new final schedule that we implemented this semester. For those of you that don't know, we are beginning at 7:45 at our normal time, but we're getting out at 12:40. So a lot of students are enjoying the extra time to sleep and to study and to relax. So we hope that it will be implemented in future years. ASB is planning a Sadie's dance for Friday, February 9th. We're still working out the logistics of that, but we hope to have it finalized soon. ASB is also revising our bylaws. It's been long overdue, and we hope that with our new activities director, that we will enjoy some more success, that we'll have more constructive bylaws, and that students will learn more from the administrative process through these new bylaws. That's it from Newark Memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, Caesar.
Thank you, Cesar. Before we move on, we had a letter or an email from a parent of one of the young people that presents from one of the schools, and her comments basically was that she wanted us to move their reports to up toward the front of the agenda so that the kids can get home. So our goal is going to be 7:30. So except for Cesar, he has to stay for the whole meeting. Okay? I'm only kidding. Especially with final, Cesar, you can leave anytime you want. It's up to you. But we are understanding of we want our kids to be home studying and not here at a boring meeting, right? So not okay, not a boring meeting. Okay, but anyway, hopefully we'll do that and get our kids home by 7:30. And didn't you love the reports by our young people? Yeah, they do an excellent job. Thank you. So with that, we go to public comment on non-agenda items. Member Thomas? Ms. Parks? And Mr. New, after Ms. Parks. Welcome, thank you.
Good evening. Welcome, new board member. Members, I guess I should say. So my concern is regarding audit issues. There have been times where over the last several years being a member of the Bond Oversight Committee that there were times where in watching to make sure going through the warrants that things were assigned right, that myself and actually Mr. Knoop had found things were charged to the bond that shouldn't have been. My concern now is that there have been some items that the board has decided that they were going to transfer from being the general fund to going to Measure G or to Russian or Russian to Measure G. You know, there's been some different changes. And through that, there's been some issues that haven't been dealt with. Back in November 6th, you approved for the curtain, the fire staining for the curtains to be paid out of Measure G. That was actually must have been put through as general fund, because when it hit the warrants, it's still showing general fund. And looking at the Measure G reports, they don't show the transfer, so that didn't get transferred, or recoded, I guess I should say. There's a way that they go about recoding it and putting it in a journal. Anyhow, so my concern is that there's not the double checks, the reassuring that what is supposed to be charged to is where it's being charged to. And so these curtains still look like they are charged to the general fund, and they were supposed to be Measure G. And then there was and that's about $25,000. And then there was $60,000 that you had approved in October when you approved the Measure G list, that those items had to be recoded, and they showed on the recoding the end of November. But when the CFS report was run for the bond committee, those items didn't transfer over there. So there's a glitch there too. So my concern is, again, with auditing and making sure that where things are supposed to be charged, that they're charged to, so that you're not with the financial issues that you know, if you're expecting something to go to one account, that's where it needs to go. So it's just a matter of all the checks and balances. And I don't know, I'm not sure where there's the lack. You know, I'm not sure where what needs to be done. But I just wanted to bring, and that does need to be corrected, that those curtains to go to Measure G, and that was about $25,000.
Thank you. Mr. Knoop?
Good evening. First of all, welcome Board Member Zhang and Student Board Member. I apologize, I forgot your name.
Cesar.
Sorry. Okay, I just want to bring something up, what I think is very important, that is transparency. I'll tell you what I think transparency is not. Transparency is not doing the minimum that is required by law, or worse, doing less than is required by law by consulting lawyers to see if we can do even less. Transparency means you're going the extra mile. It means I have to, by law, go for 1 mile, but I stand for transparency. I stand for it and I go the extra mile. Now, having said that, it is very important to guard the privacy of citizens and children and other situations. So we always have to make sure that, you know, things like addresses and social security numbers and children's names are redacted appropriately. That's without saying. But being transparent is not like, well, the Brown Act says this, so if we follow the Brown Act, we are transparent. The Brown Act is the floor. It's not the ceiling. The floor says this is the absolute minimum you have to do. And, you know, I think it would be, I would ask the board to consider if it is worthwhile codifying this, you know, in a policy or maybe in a resolution, that there's a statement that says, yes, we want to be as transparent as we can be. Again, guaranteeing privacy and things like that. You know, I asked the board members if they feel there's a need for that. You know, there have been situations where things were perhaps not transparent, and, you know, we're all human beings. I mean, you know, mistakes are made, and you know, it's not that everything will always happen perfectly. But again, it's a mindset. The mindset, let's be transparent, not, well, we don't have to be transparent because we have the Brown Act already, and that covers it all, you know. So try to go the extra mile because it's the right thing to do. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Noop. So in keeping with the courtesy mode again, when we get to 20 seconds, Ms. Aquino will, whoever's up at the podium, so that you have 20 seconds to kind of end your train of thought. Okay. Anyone else on public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. For those of you, we have these forms in the back. If you want to speak on an agenda item, just fill out one of these forms, and you're welcome to come up, and you have 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, Superintendent, staff report. Mr. Nguyen?
Yep, please. Okay, thank you.
In order to try to get out by 10 o'clock, I've asked staff to try to keep our staff reports to no more than 2, and hopefully keep it around 30, 45 minutes, hopefully, Mr. Nguyen?
15,
I'll make
20.
it quick.
15, 20?
Or less.
All right. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Sanchez. Tonight I'm going to talk about the governor's proposal, which was released on Tuesday. The governor sees that the economy continues to grow, that, however, our Proposition 98, I'll talk a little bit more about Proposition 98 in a few minutes on the next slide, but it's growing at a slow rate because our enrollment has been declining, even though revenues, the general fund revenue continues to grow because the economy is very strong right now. Our LCFF, we are fully funded throughout the state. LCFF is fully funded, so the only difference in terms of adjustments in our revenue is the cost of living adjustments, the COLA. Governor Newsom is going to put a lot of emphasis on early childhood development. Again, the U.S. economic is robust. Employment is at 312,000 jobs were created in December. Unemployment is at 3.9%. As you can see in this chart here, 3.7% unemployment rate for the U.S. The California unemployment rate is at 4.1%. As you can see, unfortunately, unemployment went up in 2009, 2010 because of the Great Recession. UCLA economic forecast is predicting that our gross domestic product is going to grow at 2% GDP this year in 2019 and possibly 1% in 2020. There's a 30% chance or a 33% chance that there's a recession that might hit in 2020. However, hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. How many of you remember what Proposition 98 was? So, okay. So Proposition 98 passed in 1988. It was geared towards funding K-12 as well as community colleges. But however, like I mentioned earlier, Proposition 98 is growing at a slower rate because of declining enrollment throughout the state of California. Basically, living in the state of California is getting more costly, right? And statewide, our enrollment has been declining. So this picture here is Governor Newsom with his son. What it's saying is that the economy, what many economists is predicting, we are at peak levels right now. So what comes up must come down sooner or later, right? Like I mentioned to you earlier, LCFF funding, that's the only revenue source that we're getting now because LCFF is fully funded. The cost of living adjustments, the governor is proposing to increase the cost of living adjustments from 2.57% to 3.46%. The unfortunate thing about our district is that even though the cost of living adjustment is going up, unfortunately our enrollment has been declining, so that's going to offset the revenue coming in. There is no more one-time discretionary fund due to Proposition 98. for the last 4 or 5 years, our district-wide, throughout the state of California, we've been receiving one-time fund every single year since 2015-16. In 15-16, we received $530 per ADA, and then 16-17, 214. Last year, we were expected to receive $344 per ADA, and we had, during adopted budget, we projected that we were going to receive revenues of $344 per ADA. However, the previous governor decided that to reduce that $344 per ADA in 1890 for this year to $184 per ADA. So that hurt every single district throughout the state. And unfortunately, this year, there's no money for ADA, for one-time discretionary fund. The governor is going to use non-Proposition 98. He's going to infuse one-time dollar of $3 billion into CalSTRS to offset the ongoing contribution that school district is contributing into the retirement system. As you can see here, in 1920, we were projecting that the school districts were going to contribute 18.13% into CalSTRS. He's proposing that school district will contribute about 17%. So that's 1 percentage point decline, which is, it's going to help school district out, but again, with our declining enrollment, it's not going to help our district out significantly. So 1% in 1920, 2021, another 1%, and then 21, 22, and 22, 23, the outer years, is about 0.5% reduction in CalSTRS contribution. He's going to focus a lot on special education as well. Students with disabilities, he figures that if we do early preventative maintenance, then there may be, in the outer years, when as students grows up, we do not have to invest a lot in terms of special education for older students. He's going to propose to infuse about $576 million into special education, in addition to the Assembly Bill 602. So there's going to be more special education funding for 1920, but that is what he's proposing. So his focus is on preschool, but it's going to be for non-LAA institutions such as regional centers or Head Start will get most of the funding. As right now, school districts will not get funded. He's going to take $422 million out of Prop 98 and fund preschool education. And he's also going to use about $750 million to build or upgrade, modernize classrooms to accommodate preschool students. So in essence, what the governor's plan to do is, again, invest in preschool, but focus mainly on low-income students, unduplicate student counts, such as English language learners, free reduced lunch students, as well as low-income families. Again, special education, he's going to infuse about $572 million into focusing on special education. LCFF is fully funded, and the only revenue source that school districts are going to get now going forward is the cost of living adjustments. And he's going to place a bond measure in 2020 and 2022 just to fund preschool at the university school sites. With that said, that's what I've read. Any questions?
Thank you.
Member Young?
Yes.
Yeah, so my first question was on that CalSTRS, because it looks like the governor's proposal is going to reduce our contribution by around 1%, right?
Yes.
And when it comes to dollar amount, is that equal to roughly 300,000 or?
Yes, about $300,000. Okay. That's approximately, yes.
And in one slide, you talk about the increase in COLA being offset by the declining in enrollment. So if, say, we're projecting a flat enrollment coming to the second half of this year, the reason we have that decline in enrollment is that because we need to pick between the 88 later this year and or the 88 the current year, which is a guaranteed declining enrollment compared to the year before. That's the reason you said we will have the declining enrollment for sure, right?
That is correct, because what was adopted in June, that enrollment is going to increase in the outer years. In reality, this year, we lost 96-something students. Plus, on top of that, what we project that, enrollment's going to increase by 40, so you're going to have to add 40-something students, 46 students that we project that is going to grow, plus the 90-something students that we lost. So we're looking at about 140 students. If you multiply that by $9,500, that's $1.4-something million.
And my last one is, so the proposal has, the governor is proposing to invest more in the special ed, and given the special ed is eating into our general fund, do you have any idea whether that will really help us, or any figure or approximation of the number, or you don't think that will have an impact at all?
It may have an impact. We may get more special education funding. The SEPA from Fremont will let us know more how much revenue the district will receive in terms of special education funding. I don't have that information source now, so it's all proposed and it's preliminary.
Anyone else? Don't assume that because we don't have questions that we're not interested.
Oh.
We had a budget workshop and there was a lot of questions. So, anyone else? Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Nguyen?
Actually,
Go ahead.
just a quick question in terms of, we recognize it's still proposed, and we keep qualifying it as proposed. What is the timeline for us to understand what's really going to get adopted?
Yeah, so we'll get a better picture during the May revision, and then I think we have a concrete answer during the May revision, but for sure by June, we'll get an enacted budget from the governor that will be signed by the governor. All right, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen.
And good segue to our next presenter. Jennifer Willis will be presenting on special education update.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Willis.
Thank you. Good evening to Board of Education, Superintendent Sanchez, and Cabinet. I'm excited to update you about our department. We've been doing some really good work this year. There we go. Okay. So first I want to start off with doing some commendations for my staff and my department. I am extremely proud to say that we had 0 overdue annuals in the 17-18 school year. We had 0 overdue triennial IEPs in that year and 0 overdue initial IEPs in that year. So this was a team effort. All of my case managers, my teachers, everyone worked hard, and also my department works hard to make sure that everyone knows what's coming up and keeps on everybody and make sure they have the training to do their job. So they did great work. I also wanted to say that I'm super proud that last year when we had, first I'll tell you, we have SARA Awards, which is the Special Education Recognition Awards, which is put on by our Community Advisory Committee for Special Education with the SELPA in coordination with directors. And it's a wonderful opportunity for all of our parents to recognize the staff at our school sites that have done something that has made a difference in their child's life. It can be somebody who works in the cafeteria, one of our instructional aides, a teacher, anybody who works with their student. And we had as many recognition awards from our district as Fremont had for their district, and they are 5 times as big as we are. So that really goes, I think, again, to our teachers and how hard they work, and how, not just our teachers, all of our staff, and how hard they work and how they're appreciated. Okay, we also have a lot of events that we put on. We work with our special education Community Advisory Committee to help put on some really great events. Last year we had one on dyslexia for parents. It was a parent education event. We had one on how to effectively have disagreements with your school team, how to look at assistive technology needs for students. So that would be anything from low tech, like a pencil grip, all the way through very intensive communication devices. And then we also had something on, or we also had a resource fair. Every year we have a resource fair in the spring. And at that resource fair, we have all kinds of vendors come that help parents who have children with disabilities. It's one of our best attended events, and it's always extremely fun. We hold it at a park, which is disability friendly, and we get a huge turnout, and parents really say it helps them a lot to find resources for their children. Okay, oh, wait, I think I need to go back. Special Education Olympics, how could I forget? 4 times a year, we have our Special Education Olympics, and it is one of the most soul-infusing things we can do. We get to see our kids having fun, working hard. Our teachers and all of our staff really enjoy going out and supporting our kids. It is one of the best things that we do every year. Okay. All right, so we also have some areas of focus. One of those is staffing. So we are struggling, like everyone else in California and actually across the nation, in making sure that we have the staff that we need. Special education teachers, every year, the preparatory schools are turning out fewer and fewer people who want to go into special education, unfortunately. We are also struggling with school psychologists and also speech and language therapists. In 2017-18, we didn't ever find a teacher for 2 positions, and for 2 of our teaching positions, and 1.5 unfilled school psychologist positions. This year, we had 4 unfilled teaching positions and 2 unfilled school psychologist positions. This, of course, is putting a huge strain on everybody. Everyone's having to work extra hard, trying to fill the gaps, and it's challenging for everyone, most especially our children. Last year, I thought we did everything we needed to be able to fill our positions, but it wasn't enough. We went to every a recruitment fair there was. We worked with our local universities. I followed every lead. So this year we're even going to amp it up more. I'm working with Executive Director Saavedra and the Human Resources Department, and we're trying to get really creative on what we can do. Of course, we're going to the recruitment fairs again. We are also going to really work on how we are advertising our openings on EdJoin and in other places, teacher-centered publications. We want to make sure that we put forward our best foot and everyone knows what's great about this district. We make sure we put it front and center, and I think we can do better on that this year. There's a lot of great things about our district. We're also going to be, I'm working with Cal State East Bay. They have a wonderful new program, which is a para-to-teacher pipeline program to help get our wonderful paraprofessionals into the classroom, because some of them are really ready to make that step. So we're going to be putting on an information fair in the spring. We are also registering for all available recruitment fairs and doing the advertising. So we're working hard. Okay. So hopefully we will start next year fully staffed. All right, focus 2. For the last 2 years, I've been watching as our special education numbers and percentages have been going up. And I've been monitoring those numbers very, very, very intensively. As you can see from this graph, we had, in 5 years, from 2012 to 2017, we ranged in numbers from about 650 to about 700 students in special education. In 2 years, from beginning of 17 to the end of 18, anyway, for that 2 years, we added 145 students, or 100, sorry, I'm now getting mixed up, 146 students who transferred in. So those numbers were really disturbing. So I've been really keeping an eye and asking questions. Are we over-identifying students who don't actually have disabilities but maybe just need extra help in the classroom? Are we not exiting students because we don't have school psychologists to really monitor that students are ready to exit and do those assessments? But in fact, what I found was it really has been about students who transferred in. So we had in 2 years, we had a huge increase in students who transferred in. That's the blue line. So the, let's see, the top line is students who exited. The middle line, I believe, is the students who we assessed as needing special education services. And that blue line is students who transferred in. So we had a huge increase. That number is almost exactly the difference between what we would have expected if transfers had stayed the same, our population to be, and what it ended up being. So had it stayed the same, so if you look on this graph, we have our percentages at the bottom of the total number of students in the district went up every year, 10.3, 10.4, 10.9, 11.7, 11.8, 12.8, and then 13.1. If we took out those students who transferred in, we would be at 11.5%, which is just under the state average. So it would be, and it would be the normal trend line. Still a little higher than I would like it to be, and I think we can still do better, but it would not be astronomical. Okay. All right, so the plan. We're going to continue what we've been doing in that we're going to continue training on what is disability, what is not disability. I think that has been successful in helping to make sure that we're doing good work with our kids. We have a monthly topic and data analysis with school psychologists and speech therapists on disability, what it is, what it's not. We look at students who are sort of in the gray area and we talk through what is their needs. And then as a district, we're looking at multi-tiered systems of support. And that is super exciting to me because that is looking at general education, it's looking at general education plus some extra needs and also intensive needs supports. It's a way to look at all the different evidence-based systems and make sure that you aren't redundant and you have all the needs covered. So it helps you see where your holes are in really good instruction. So I think that work is going to be really important for us. Okay, focus 3. When I first came on board a couple of years ago, I noticed that we had too high a percentage of students who were second language learners who were identified as having a speech and language challenge or disability. And so I've been providing trainings on figuring out, because it's hard to tell sometimes, is it second language or is it a language disability? So I've made sure that my staff have had really good intensive training on that. It has been a standing monthly issue when I meet with my speech and language therapists that we have those discussions and we look at students. And the wonderful thing is, so I want to say first, so when I came on board, we were at 29.9%. National average is 20% students with speech and language disabilities. The 2 other districts in our SELPA, Fremont has 19% and New Haven's at 28%. So after implementing lots of good stuff to tackle that concern, we're down 2.9%. And the majority of that has been in the last 10 months. So I feel like the training really kicked in and people are starting to do better work, even more effective work, I should say. Okay. And so this is just another way to look at the data. The left is the total number of students assessed in speech. You can see it was kind of steady and then it dropped quite a bit this last year. And then on the right-hand side, it's the students who actually qualify under a speech and language learning disability category. Again, the assessments were going down, but at first the students becoming eligible had gone up slightly, and then we dropped. All right, lastly, I want to talk about transportation. We had a big change this year. We went from using traditional special education vans to using Zoom, which uses cars. And it was a big change. We did a lot of work around it. And actually it has really settled into being a very, very productive and helpful system for our kids. I think it's having the positive effects that we thought, which is it's more responsive to student needs because you have more drivers, more cars for fewer students per ride. And so it can be more responsive if a student needs a change. They need to be with different kids. They need to have a different route. We can do that more easily. Parents are reporting that they love Zoom. And because they have an app, they can track where their kid is on their way to school and when they're coming home. So it's really decreased the calls to our office, where in the past we used to have to get a call from a parent, call the company would call the driver, and then it would go back, and then we'd finally call the parent back, and by that time they'd say, oh yeah, our kid got home. You know? So it's really helped that as well. It's personalized, it's responsive. We've also made sure that parents know that they have the opportunity to be reimbursed for mileage, which is a good cost savings, and parents then have an opportunity to transport their own students, and it helps them a little bit financially. So overall, we started out the year thinking that our costs for transportation were going to be the same, and because some students with high needs have moved away, and because of some other factors, mileage reimbursements that we've advertised, et cetera, our costs have come down. We think it's going to be about 15% this year. Okay, and that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So,
questions?
When you're making the presentation, sometimes we'll have board members that have questions, but we've always tried to allow you to finish. And Member Thomas has something that she wanted to ask you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. It was a very informative presentation. The two things I hope you will maybe expand a little bit more on, the fact that we have 4 teachers positions that aren't being filled. Well, you have to have specialized teachers in those classrooms. So how are you handling, how are we teaching or staffing those classrooms right now?
So we do have guest teachers in those classrooms. And then for the IEP needs, we have a lot of our other teachers will do extra duty. Our special ed teachers will do extra duty to help with the IEP development, holding the IEP meetings, goal development, et cetera.
So does that mean they're having a turnover in teachers?
We try not to, but yes, sometimes there is.
Okay. The other thing, that the alarming statistic about how many special ed students are transferring in, I assume there are residents. We're not accepting inter-district transfers.
No.
So what is it about our program? And I know that I have 2 special needs grandsons. Mm-hmm. I know that it's a tight-knit community and they communicate across cities and everything. What is it about our program you think that is causing people to move into Newark with their special needs kids, if that's what's happening?
I don't know any more than you do. All I can say is we have wonderful special educators, and maybe that gets around. But honestly, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for mentioning the Special Olympics. I did have a couple questions. I'd like to go last and allow any other board member to go first. But Member Martinez now is our new SELPA rep from the district, and she had to tie me up to get it away from me.
I thought so.
I've been doing it so long.
Yeah.
But, as everybody know, I have my daughter and 2 granddaughters, both are working with special needs kids, and it's just, it's here. So I just had when someone goes into the website and applies for us to be a sub, mm-hmm. and if they put down that they want to work with special needs kids, they have to take that No Child Left Behind test. Is that correct?
To be a guest teacher, yes.
Yeah, or an aide, to be an aide, special ed aide in the classroom.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And then and that's not that difficult, because is my understanding, and people think that when they go on the website that they have to put in for permanent positions, but there's always openings with the 3 school district for to be subs. So the other question is the exiting of students, and then the one where you were talking about second language learners and identifying those to make sure that they're not put in
Being
the
overly
right.
identified.
Right. It's more of a language issue than it is a special needs. So, on the exiting of students, is that always part of the IEP, where if a parent says there's a difference of opinion whether we feel that, or the teacher feels that the student should be exited, and the parent feels that they shouldn't be exited? How does that normally work when there's like a tug of war there?
Well, whenever there's a disagreement, we try to work through it. We try to understand, what's the basis for the disagreement. Sometimes we need to do some more assessment or more data collection. If we positively can't come to an agreement, then parents have remedies such as filing with the state or, for a state complaint. But it is when we have offered a service and parents won't agree to exiting or to ending that service, we are in what's called stay put, which means that we continue to provide the service until we can come to an agreement, however we do.
Okay. And not everyone understands when a child, at what age they can be identified as special needs. Mm-hmm. Could you explain that for me, if you don't mind?
So,
from what age to what age?
You can be an infant. We don't actually directly provide those services as the district, but they are still our students. So they can be infants at age 3. If they were an infant, then we assess them at 3 to enter our programs under special education, IDEA. And if sorry, I lost my train of thought. So 3 to 22 is the public school realm.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you much. Anyone have any? Okay. Thank you. And you've been with us now, I think, 3 years?
2 years.
2 years. 3. And we're happy to have you, and thank you for all the work you've done to try to keep our costs down, because that's, as everybody knows, that's a big ticket item for us.
I know.
Okay. Appreciate it, and if you can convey our thank you and appreciation to all your teachers, staff that work with our special needs kids. We really appreciate it.
Always.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. One of the things that we also did in looking at the agenda is to move the employee organizations up a little bit. So do we have anyone from NUMA?
NUMA President Angela Ehrlich.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Angela Ehrlich. I'm the NUMA president and also principal at Lincoln Elementary School.
Thank you, Ms. Ehrlich.
Happy New Year to all of you and welcome on board. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So good evening. So we've been very, very busy as a team, as a NUMA team, and since the last update, would like to highlight some of the things that we have as a team member are doing throughout the district. So we're continuing to guide our sites through our STEAM roadmap. As you know, each school has identified a specific area of STEAM that is their focus. For example, my school, Lincoln Elementary, we are focusing on art, and so for this month, we have hosted the Fine Arts Mini Experience, the FAME curriculum, and we were featuring 2 artists, one classical musician, Camille Sasson, and Claude Monet. And we ended that day with an after-school art factory, which is spearheaded by Mrs. Clinton. At Graham Elementary School is working on slow-motion videography in the STEAM lab to enhance the district's adopted curriculum for students. The junior high is hosting a band concert, and all elementary sites will be hosting a family science night, of which you're all invited to attend. One of our main focuses is engaging our families in their child's education and school program. At the junior high, they're hosting the report card night to go over the content of a report card. At Schilling, they're having their public viewing of the comprehensive school safety plan. And also at Schilling, they're also offering class for parents wishing to develop their English skills. And the class is designed for families unable to attend the adult school offering. And it's open to all NUSD parents. Snow is hosting a parent workshop titled Face the Heart. And Music is working on a parent partner to host a parent workshop for district families titled positive parenting program, offering group and individual sessions for families to add some more tools to their parenting toolbox. And we are also continuing to develop a community partnership. Most recently, BGP partnered with the Newark Police Department, and the officers and their canine colleagues joined the students in discussing bullying and developing positive relationships. At Lincoln, we are partnering with Public Services to launch our recycling program. And we are also all excited to work with our alternative high school, and they're doing facilitating student enrollment. They're piloting the new orientation for transfer students, facilitating a more positive and less complex transition. And we recognize the importance of attaining and retaining quality leadership in our district. Something all management members have challenges with all the work and life balance, as you all may know. We want to give it all our best, and for both our working families and our home families, and to support each in our work, we are offering a NUMA workshop on January the 24th, and the focus would be finding work and life balance and time management. And you're all also welcome to attend that. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in our events.
Thank you. So the board will be kept abreast of NUMA activities so we can come. Member Thomas?
Well, it seems to me that that whole list, every one of those could be a title for a newsletter that we could send out to the public. I would love to see a newsletter highlighting those events. They're wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. CSCA? Ms. Eustace, thank you. Good seeing you. Happy New Year.
I apologize for being late, but I teach on Thursday, so it's very hard for me to get here. But I had Cindy call me and give me a 20-minute notice that you would be coming up, so I managed to get here. I'm really excited. We're going to be taking and making more site visits. So a lot of the people, I've worked here for 42 years, but I'm in the adult ed department, so I'm sort of kind of like, out in the boondocks. And so one of the things that I'm going to be doing this year is I'm going to be making some site visits so people can see who I am and make sure that they know that they have someone there that they can call if there's any problems that they have. And I think it's going to make everything run much more smoothly. When I'm there, I try to check in the office and make sure that I even try to connect with the principal if I can do that. I did that today, and I was really happy with the response. The other thing that's going to be going on this month is I'm going to be installed, so you get me for 2 more years. Whether you want me or not, I'm yours. And so I would like, if you would like to attend, we're going to be honoring our officers. The regional representative is going to be there, and she's going to install us all. And so, but anybody is invited to come. So if you would like to come, we're going to be at the Olive Garden, and we're going to be, I think it's 6 o'clock, if I remember correctly, on the 28th of January, which is a Monday, which is a good day for me, no typo. So yes, 6 o'clock. So I will be back here in another couple of weeks, and hopefully I have some new stuff for you, but I'm kind of excited. Things are definitely seem to be going in a really good direction for all of us, and so hopefully it stays that way. So thank you so much for letting me talk tonight. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do for our kids and for the classified employees of Newark Unified School District. Anyone from NTA? All right. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Megan McMillan, and I'm the Special Education Director for NTA. This is just a few highlights. Our President Timothy Merritt couldn't be here tonight. He's at our Al Costa Service Unit big meeting for all of the presidents. But I wanted to say I'm wearing my red for the Red for Ed movement right now. NTA was happy to participate in the Red for Ed walk-in on January 11th. I think taking the prize for us was Graham Elementary with a 95% participation in wearing red and walking in together in the morning. We also had teachers participate in the Red for Ed rally in Oakland, the walk that happened up there. And coming up this Saturday, NTA will have a contingent at the Women's March in Oakland. We're going to be meeting at the start of the rally and marching together as a union, hopefully all in our Red for Ed, supporting both movements at once. In addition, Family Science Night is coming up for all of our elementary schools, and as we have for the last few years, spearheaded by Rachel Bloom, we'll be having an NTA-sponsored booth at each one of the Family Science Nights where parents get to work with their children to create a paper circuit that lights up an LED. It's always a really positive experience for the families. We've gotten a lot of feedback from it. And then we have 2 conferences coming up that NTA is sponsoring teacher attendance to, the Good Teaching Conference in San Jose and the New Teacher Conference in Burlingame, which is an excellent one for teachers in their first 3 years of teaching. So those are the latest updates from us. Be prepared to be seeing lots of red on campuses while we support UTLA and Oakland and Fremont in all of their recent actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, we now go to old business, and this is an item that I put on the agenda. I wanted to change the seating, going back to where it was where I was in, the president was in the middle for years, and recently we changed it to be over here. Not that I have a problem with being next to the superintendent, but I really enjoy being in the middle, and I've done board president now, I think 4 or 5 times. It allows me to facilitate the meeting better, and but because it was voted on by the prior board to change it, it had to come back to be voted on by the new board to address it again. So this is not really that big of an issue, other than the fact that I would prefer to be in the middle because it just makes me run the meeting a lot better, or facilitate the meeting, and which is what I'm here to do, is make sure the meeting goes smoothly so we can get out before 10 o'clock. Okay. So, so I'm hoping that the majority of the board will vote with me and move me back. If you do, then Vice President Thomas would be here, and each one of us can actually run the meeting from there or from here, and then when I'm ill or out of the area or something, then she'll be running it, I'm sure, from here. But I would, Vice President Thomas, would you like to say something on this?
I'm fine with you being in the middle.
Okay, good. Thank you. That was so easy.
The request I would make is we've usually had the vice president sit next to you so that I can help you with the requests and stuff like that. So if I could sit to your left, I'd appreciate that.
Or to my right?
Or to your right, yeah.
Okay, so you can stay right here then.
I could stay right there.
So then we would just move Member Martinez over here. Okay, good. She gets.
I'm sorry.
She gets to be next to the superintendent.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think, the discussion we had last time was that many districts, and we did a poll of districts and had charts that showed how the seating was at different school districts, and about maybe 30 or 40% had the superintendent next to the board president, some in the center and some off to the side. So what we ended up doing was having the superintendent and the board president next to each other. But if you feel more comfortable in the middle, I'm fine with that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So I need a motion and a second so we can get to more important stuff.
I move that President Rodriguez, our board president, takes the middle seat.
Okay.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Thank you. Member Martinez makes the motion. Member Gutierrez seconds. Please vote. Did I open for voting? There you go. Bye, Cesar. Thank you. Good luck on your finals. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much. Next meeting's fine.
The books.
Huh?
I'm asking
Oh, the books. Thank you.
Members John to pass the books.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 13.1, which is the audit report for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2018. Superintendent. Or Mr. Nguyen.
Mr. Wynn's going to introduce our auditor.
Oh, that's who you were back there in that nice suit.
You were wondering, right?
Yeah.
This is from Christy White. He's going to present the audit report to us.
Well, good evening. I just want to thank the board for having me here tonight and letting me participate in your meeting. My name is Michael Ash. I'm a partner with Christy White Associates. I've been your audit partner for the district for the last 4 years. Before I get into the board presentation, I just want to say that I met with the audit committee earlier today. Trustee Martinez, Trustee Thomas are part of that committee. They asked some really good questions. We sat down for about 45 minutes and had some great conversations. And I can just say from my experience that school districts that have audit committees tend to have better audits, less findings, and the audits just tend to go better. So I wish all of my school districts had audit committees, and I'm very glad that you do. So now my job here is to condense that hour discussion that we had down to just a few minutes, and then answer any questions that you might have.
The board members mentioned that because of a budget crisis, you're not getting paid for being an auditor?
I think we already got paid, so I think it might be.
Oh, that will, okay.
No,
Next time we'll mention it up front, right?
I'm just joking.
Okay, thank you.
So what is an audit? So as your independent auditor, so we visit the district usually 2 times a year. So we'll come out in the spring before the year has ended, and we will visit your school sites. We will look at your attendance. We will look at your ASBs. We'll visit the district office. We'll look at your major internal control cycles, payroll, cash disbursements, cash receipts. We'll begin some of our state compliance and federal compliance testing that we have to do for you. So that's our interim visit. Then June 30th hits, your books are closed, your unaudited actuals come out, get presented to the board. Then we come back, look at your financial information, finish up what we did at interim, and then this crazy long audit report gets put together. I mean, they just keep making it longer and longer. Everything in here is required by somebody, whether it be the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, the state, federal government, et cetera. So these are the district's financial statements. We assist them in putting it together, and then we give what's called our auditor's opinions, and then we report on any audit findings. Two high-level things that I want to go through before we get to the summary of auditor's results. One thing is related, there was a new accounting standard during the year, Governmental Accounting Standards Board Statement number 75. It was related to your OPEB, your other post-employment benefits. So those are the benefits that you provide to your retirees, dental, health, medical, and vision. And your plan itself didn't change, but the accounting for that plan did change. So you probably noticed if you read the report that your OPEB liability went up quite a bit. Again, nothing to be concerned about necessarily, just note that there was a new accounting standard. The second thing is on reserve percentage. So one thing that we have to look at as part of your audit is that you're meeting the state's recommended reserve. As of June 30th, 2018, you certainly were. I do know that subsequently you have filed a qualified budget in 2018-19. That's not something to be panicked about necessarily. If it were negative, I would be more concerned. But it is something to just be concerned about and address, because as auditors, we're required to look at it. We have to look at your viability as a going concern. So anytime that we see a qualified or a negative budget, we do have to ask questions and just see what your plans are to address that. And just overall statewide, the number of qualified and negative budgets went up from second interim 17-18 to first interim 18-19 by about 50%. So macro-wide in the state, it looks like it might be a trend that's happening. Even though the economy is very strong, it's probably more along the lines of that the LCFF is now fully funded and that funding is more flat. So that's just another thing that I wanted to point out. I am going to take you through the summary of auditor's results. If you have the audit report, it's page 85. If you don't feel like you have to follow along. But as a board member, if you're only going to read one page in the audit report, this is what I would highly recommend reading, because this gives a summary of what our auditor's opinions are. So if you're on page 85, you'll see the first section is on the financial statements. You'll see the type of auditor's report issued is unmodified, and that's great. That's the best opinion that you can possibly have. That means in our independent auditor's opinion, these financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. So that's all of the financial information in here, as well as the notes to the financial statements. Very good. Internal controls. So we don't give an opinion on your internal controls, but because we do your school district, we have to do your audit under what's called government auditing standards. And so if we do come across any deficiencies, significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in your internal controls over financial reporting, or any non-compliance that's material to the financial statements, we have to report it in what's called an audit finding. And I'm happy to say that we did not have any internal control findings, which is great. One internal control finding that school districts normally have is related to ASBs, Associated Student Bodies. They're off-site, they're very hard to manage, and this district has done a really good job of managing it internally. I know Kim has taken ownership of that and has done a good job and has overseen that. So no ASB finding is pretty rare for a school district, especially one with a high school, so that's very good. The second section is on federal awards. So because the district spends over $750,000 during the year, we have to do what's called a single audit. And there are very set ways that we have to select the programs to be tested. This year it was child nutrition. And there are very set procedures and compliance requirements that we have to look at. And again, within the federal awards, unmodified opinion, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. Perfect. And then the last section is the state award. So because you're a school district, each year the state puts out a state audit guide of areas that they want us to look at. So anything from your attendance to your school accountability report cards to your instructional minutes, that type of thing. Unmodified opinion, the best you can have. We did have two, what I would consider to be minor findings related to state compliance, which I will touch on in just in a little bit more detail. So if you flip over the next page, 86, again, no financial statement findings. 87, no federal award findings. 88, I'm going to summarize these two findings, starting on page 88, state compliance very succinctly. So the first one is related to school accountability report cards. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to look at the SARCs that are posted on the website for each of the schools and look at the FIP forms that support that for facilities conditions and just make sure that those match. So what's reported in the SARC matches what's on the FIT. We did notice for a handful of your schools that the most recent FIT forms were not being used when preparing the SARC. So you'll see some old dates in there. It's required that the most recent should always be used. So for the junior high and the high school, actually the right ones were used. So just something that the district knows about, the district is focused on, and I don't anticipate this will be a finding going forward. And the second finding on page 89 is related to unduplicated local control funding formula. So this is your CalPADS reporting. So one thing that we have to test with CalPADS is we have to look at anyone on the CalPADS report who's free and reduced student or EL. The issue here was related to your free and reduced students. So what happens is with child nutrition is people fill out students fill out an application, they turn them in, and then the district has to do like a 3% audit, like November 1st, and that's verifying the income of those applications just to make sure that they should have been free or reduced. Well, we found 1 out of 60 in our sample that was should have been changed to paid and was not. So it was correct in your child nutrition software, but just not in your CalPADS reporting. And then upon looking at all of those students, we found an additional 18. So there were 19 students total that need to be disallowed from there. And as you can see on page 90, it's a pretty small funding impact. It's only like $4,300 that the district will be disallowed. So that's all that I had. All in all, a very solid report. Very good, just 2 minor findings. Are there any questions that I can help answer?
Thank you. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You're great. We'd like. How long did you spend actually at the?
So we usually come for a week in the spring and then another week in the fall. Okay. So it's about for a school district this size, it's about a 2-week audit total. Okay. And then there's more time after that, putting this massive thing together, of course.
Right.
But yes.
I know we've used you for a while, and we really appreciate that. All the help you give us, and thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Nguyen, for working with this gentleman. What's your name again, sir?
Michael Ash.
Michael.
Yes, and I just want to say that the district was very helpful anytime with a transition with a new CBO, and I know the district had an interim CBO for a while. Sometimes that can make the audit process a little tough, a little hard to find documents, but the district provided us everything that we needed, and we were able to finish our audit no problem. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Big thanks to Kim.
Huh?
Kim Lola.
Oh, Kim. Right. Thank you to Kim, and if you would tell her thank you for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Don't send us an invoice, okay?
Thank you.
Before we go to the facilities, oh, go ahead, Mr. Nguyen. Were you gonna?
I'm just going to present on the facility use fee schedule.
Okay. Can you, do you mind, we have someone that wants to address us on this item, Mr. Nguyen?
I'm fine with going after his presentation.
Normally, no, come on up, Ms. Adestetter. We go back a long way, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Thank you very much for letting me speak tonight, Mr. Superintendent, board members, and staff. I'm here representing Stage 1 Theater, and I know some of you are newer to the board, so you may not know who we are, but we are a nonprofit community theater group that performs out of the Newark Memorial High School Theater. We've actually been working with the school district for 18 years, so we've been there since the year 2000, performing Broadway-style musicals mostly. This is a great opportunity and a great partnership, and we like to call it a partnership because we work with the drama department very closely. We share set pieces, we share props, we share costumes. As a matter of fact, our new production, which we have going on now, which is Mamma Mia, which opens in March, has 2 high school students in it. So it's a great opportunity for kids who are really interested in the performing arts to work with community professionals who are also doing performing arts. I know that the fees changes were coming up, and we've been warned for quite a while. But I did want to just say that after 18 years in the partnership we've had, this will be doubling our rent by the year, 3 years from now, at the end of these fee schedule updates. This will make it very difficult for a nonprofit community theater group to survive. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. The other thing I really wanted to point out is that if you want to start renting the theater as a comparable rental space with other theater groups that are out there, or theater facilities, you really need to invest some money in this theater. The theater is not in very good condition. The drapes that are in there now, if you go and look, have holes in them. They've been painted. They're really in disarray. The other thing that I'd really like to point out is the lighting features that are in the theater. There's not enough to light the stage today. All of the lighting structures that are up there are very old. Some of the lighting wiring is actually covered in asbestos, which needs to be investigated and looked at. There's also an issue of having a safety lift for the kids to be able to get up and change the lights, as well as for us. Today we do borrow one that's for the school district, but it's not always available, and that makes it impossible for somebody to come in and set up their lighting. The green room today, which is part of the rental facility, is used as a classroom, and to be honest, it's messy. I mean, there's kids' stuff laid around. It's not taken very well care of. And if I were to rent the facility at the fees that you're going to be charging and coming in on a weekend, I'd be very disappointed in how that facility looked. Something else we need to pay attention to is the mics in the school. The FCC has just recently changed the ruling on what different airwaves can be used for wireless mics. And all the wireless mics that Stage 1 has and all the wireless mics that the school has, and we often share, have been basically outdated. So we need to have those looked at as well. So if you really want to raise the prices and expect other groups to come in and pay a premium price, you really are going to need to invest some money in the facilities. Stage 1 is happy to help wherever we can, but we know that there's, limitations of what can be done because of budget.
Thank God, time is up, but if you can get together with staff and give them the list, I'm sure the business office, I'm sure they appreciate it.
Be happy to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Nguyen?
Sorry. I stole the presentation.
Oh, before we start on the use of facility fee schedule, we need to take an action item approving the audit report.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Point of order.
Okay, thank you. Point of order.
thank you.
So, open for voting?
No,
Member
I
to
move that we accept the audit report.
Okay, we need a second. Member Thomas moves.
I second.
Member Martinez seconds. Please vote. Okay, motion passes 5 ayes. Thank you for Mr. Nguyen. Did you want to?
I just wanted to ask if any of the members can clarify. Stage 1 would qualify under what group? 0, 1, 2, or 3? If you guys
1.
1. Okay, thank you.
Group 1.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So hello again, board members and Superintendent Sanchez. Tonight I want to talk about the use of facility fee schedule. We haven't had a change in fee schedule for the last 14 years. The last time it was changed or updated was in 2004. So the Civic Center Act, as well as the Senate Bill 1404, allows school districts to recoup their cost in regards to leasing their facilities to community groups, community organizations, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit use. The cost of maintaining our infrastructure, we have operating costs, program costs, capital costs. It costs the district about $1.3 million in terms of utilities. We have to service, pay for maintenance and operations, as well as custodial salaries, as well as their benefits, CalPERS benefits. As well as putting security cameras around the campuses, making sure they're maintained. The supplies and equipment, it's not cheap to repair these, our infrastructure, such as the pool, draining the pool, putting new water into the pool, the pumps. And then we also have to pay for the use of Facilitron. We have Facilitron members here as well. So if the board members have any questions, I'll be able to answer them, but if more technical questions, then Facilitron can be able to answer some of those questions. So there's also admin fees in regards to our secretaries, office managers scheduling with Facilitron, with the community groups. And then the ongoing, making sure our buildings or infrastructure is in place so that our students can use, as well as the community members can use our facilities. This is kind of in-depth, but if you add our operating costs, admin costs, as well as capital costs, divide that by total square footage, you'll get the facility cost per square footage, but then you multiply that by the average square footage per facility, divided by the usable hours, you'll get the facility cost per hour. So I'm going to go into in-depth a little bit more here. We have about 985,000 square footage of office space, classroom space. In total, we have about 28,000 in pool square footages. We have a lot of real estate in our, at our school sites. We have about 3.6 million square footage. And then our parking lot, our hard top, is about 1.5 million. So this is our overall cost of our maintaining our buildings, our pools, our fields. You got our utilities, our supplies, security, and then how you get the facility cost per square footage is you take the, I wish this thing works, but you take the total facility cost. Let's just give an example. If the building cost is $15.6 million, divide that by the total building gross per square footage, which is 985,000, and you'll get the $15.90 per square footage. As well as if you take $485,000 in terms of total facility cost for the pool, divide that by the pool square footage, you'll get $17.11. So our heaviest users are Group 1. A lot of our Group 1s are community-based programs such as the Little Leagues, soccer team, baseball team, softball teams, as well as Stage 1, thank you. Then we also got Group 2 that, and I'll explain a little bit more on that later. We do charge them a fee, and we also do charge Group 1 a fee as well. But the bulk of, I'll explain on the next PowerPoint, next slide here. Here's a breakdown of our use of facilities. Theater, the gym. If you look at the most use is the fields. And the reason why the most of the 11,689 hours, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh.
Following along.
All right. So the fields is being utilized the most by our little leagues, softball, baseball, and soccer. And I'll break down, there's another slide. Here's the top 10 renters. Newark American Little League, Newark Girls Softball League. Notice that they are not being charged for the use of our baseball fields or soccer fields. There's no cost. Ohlone College do pay us because they're in Group 2 for educational purposes, and they do provide services to our community, City of Newark students, so we place them in Group 2. But if you notice that the Newark Little Leagues and softball leagues, they don't get charged. And if I go back to the previous slide here, Group 2 paid $54,000, but the hours they spent was 3,270 hours. But Group 1 spent 14,000 hours, but we only received, in terms of our recovery cost, of $62,000. So for 17-18, we recover about $125,000, but our operating expenses, direct cost, is about $528,000. All right. So here are the current rates on the left side, and here are the new rates on the right side. I wish I have better eyesight, but let me see if I can go on this side.
Mr. Nguyen, Miss.
Yes.
I can wait till the end.
You want to wait?
Yes.
Okay.
Test. Okay. So as of right now, if I can locate the area, if you look at the current rates, the soccer field, tennis courts, and track and field for junior high schools, there's no charge to Group 1. And the Little Leagues, Newark Little Leagues, uses our facility the most. So what we're proposing is to start charging a small fee to use our soccer field, tennis courts, and track and field at the junior high school. And the new rates are at down here, which is about track and field, soccer field. The soccer field will be $12.71 per hour. The track field is $7.86 per hour. And the tennis courts, similar rates, about $7.37 an hour. All right. So these are the new rates that we're proposing. So we added another group, which is Group 0, so that for students, PTAs to use our facilities at no cost, because it's for our students, for our school district. Then we also have a Group 1, a subsidized cost, such as using organization groups such as the Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, as well as the Little Leagues. We would place them on Group 1. These organizations that charge less than $60 per students. All right. Then we got Group 2, any organization that have at least 70% of Newark residents, but charges more than $60 per student. Then we got the fair rental value, which is for-profit and nonprofit organizations. We charge them at a regular rate. Right. So before we implement this, we want to inform or community organizations that our new rates are going to go into effect on July 1st of this year. So it's going to give them some time to accommodate the new fee schedule. The conclusion is that we've been subsidizing we've been subsidizing the community groups, organizations for several years now, and it costs about $400,000 approximately for facility use. We would like to recoup some of our cost. So, like I said, 17-18, we recovered $125,000. We're hoping that with the new fee schedule, we can recover additional revenues coming in.
Ms. Gutierrez.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. I just wanted to say that I think it's fair that we do have some kind of fee schedule going on, but I was looking over the numbers, and with all 3 years, the 19, 20, 21, 2021, and 21, 22, and in just comparing all the price sheets, I had a couple of concerns because I just think that maybe we need to either get a second pair of eyes or maybe just overlook it a little bit better.
Sure.
I saw some fees were actually going down when the years were progressing, which doesn't make sense because as the years go by, usually, even if it's incremented by a penny, you know, but it should be going up, not down. And then everything starting from 2019 and on, everything in Group 3 did not change at all. So being as they're the outside group and we're going to be charging them the most, I don't see why they wouldn't change at all in 3 years.
Right.
So I was just wondering if maybe we could possibly review these numbers a little bit.
For sure.
To make sure that they're all in line.
Yeah, and the reason why, if we go back to Group 3, they rarely use our facilities, only 75 hours. But we can definitely look at the fee schedules and make modifications. This is an opportunity for us to make changes. These are not set in stone. If we as a group here decide that we want to change the fee schedule, then we should. I'm open for that.
Okay.
Quick question. Hello. I was already on.
It's okay.
So is the target to break even? Because if you look at the numbers, and you know, in our public comment, we do see a pretty steep incline, right? So what is our strategy in terms of what we're looking to cover 100% of that operating cost? And the only reason I say that is because, again, there are groups that are, you know, we want them engaged. We want them to continue to attract the kids to these activities. Right. So there is some sensitivity there.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to raise the price up where none of these organizations will want to come and use our facilities. So we want to make it attractive where we can bring in more customers to use our facilities. I don't believe that in the next 2, 3, 4 years that we will recover all of our costs in terms of the use of facilities. But if we can increase some of our recovery costs, that would be ideal.
Oh, sorry, am I speaking out of turn? Well, I would think that we would have an estimate, right? Because assuming those same groups use those resources proportionately, you know, with those new numbers, we would have an estimate. I'd just be curious for us to know what that is.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll give you an example. Because we were not charging the fields at the middle and the junior high school, we had no organization using the high school football field because everyone was using the junior and middle high school fields because there was no fee charged. That's why.
Member Thomas.
Seeing that the fields has the biggest chance for us to recoup our costs, have we looked at what other high schools charge or what other school districts charge, and how about have we looked at what the city's charging? It seems we should be charging at least as much as the city charges.
Right. I mean, it is comparable to what other school districts are charging. Rachel, if you want to stand in, come in and make some comments on this, as well as Derek.
Yeah. So I pretty much did all of the analysis and all of the calculations, and using the exact same utilization, the district would recover with these, the first the first year of fees, so that gradual increase, the district would recover a little bit over $300,000 as compared to currently $125,000. Granted, the utilization will shift because a lot of those field users aren't going to be blocking out entire days worth and then only using 2 hours. They'll actually be recording what they're actually using, which will allow other groups to come in and use the field as well. And it'll also, being able to recover more costs, will be able to allow the district to put more money into the fields. And because a lot of the times we see when groups don't pay for the fields, then they complain about the quality of the fields and that they're, playing on dirt. And it's just a way for the community and the district to really have to work together and, have the best field for the community. Again, those utilization numbers, I'm sure, will shift when they're actually paying for them. But like Kai said, you will see groups starting to use the high school field more instead of overrunning the elementary and junior high fields. Yeah, hopefully that helps explain things a little bit more. Yeah.
I just want to say I enjoyed speaking with you at CSBA.
Yes, I was going to come say hello.
Yes, and it was obvious we were chatting about some of this stuff, and it's good to see the numbers come to fruition, and we have a plan.
Yeah, I know, it's exciting. It's been a long time coming, or a long process, but glad we're finally here.
Stay up there.
Yeah.
Superintendent.
Thank you. I wanted to, and I don't think there's a giant need to move on this tonight, but I do think we should look at Group 1. In my, this is kind of the first real viewing of this model that I've seen. And I think that for me, I'd rather squeeze the pricing down a little bit more for Group 1 and offset those costs into Group 2 and 3. We have longstanding partnerships in some of those groups. But one thing I was going to ask, did you add in storage? Is that a factor for storage? That is, like, if a group is storing stuff within our facility, is it added in here? If not, I think that's something we need to factor in. Because that's a component that I think I'd like to see added to this.
In terms of revenue generated?
Any storage that is not district property is something that I think should be added. But I think, just because I think it's fair, and but that's a component I think should be listed somewhere on here. I don't know what the going rate for storage is, but I do think there's some value in, long-standing groups that have been with us for a while in Group 1. I think there's some value in looking at how can we maybe bring those numbers down and offset it by moving that increase of bringing that down to the other two groups. I do think we'll get more use with the other groups. But I also think that as we look at a structure for the revenue we do build, we should look at how do we reinvest those funds to kind of offset some of the comments we heard, which is, keeping them upgraded so they are more desirable. But, that's my opinion. I think it's really up to the will of the board. I know the board asked to look at some models as a revenue building, but I think we need to be also thoughtful about, partnerships as well. But I would like to see storage be incorporated as well.
Okay, Ms. Gutierrez.
I would like to say that I do agree with possibly relooking at this in the further date, because I think some reevaluation needs to be done, possibly the storage, but even, again, just looking at the numbers.
I'm willing to work on it and come back with you guys at the next meeting. Maybe we bring it back again and do a second reading. I think part of the intent of the board was always, as we move down this road, to not just post it and approve it the same night. And I know that was a prior board agreement, but I think the new board probably agrees with that. So I think let's rework it again and bring it back at the next meeting. And I'll work more closely with you now.
And I had something that I wanted to say. We were very fortunate, talking about the high school, with the fields, years ago when Coach Swift was there and making sure everything was looking good and looking great. But just a couple of years ago, I had a gentleman that was there with his youth football team, and they were complaining about golf holes and stuff like that, and at the same time probably not paying anything for the 2 hours that they were there. So that was kind of interesting. And then the other thing is a lot of times individuals just come to our fields and they just use them,
Right.
and they don't run it through us, and so making sure that the word gets out there that if you want to use our fields, then you need to get permission.
That's right.
When it comes to the Little League field, the American Little League over at the junior high, and the softball, the girls softball, which is over at Snow Elementary, they normally have had a tradition where, in lieu of the fact that either they were paying us very little or nothing at all, that they would maintain the fields, and it was something that our employees didn't have to do. But some, I know with the softball it happens. Sometimes with the Little League, our people are out there. So I guess what I'm after is that it's nice to be able to offer something for free, but I think it's very difficult to do nowadays. And if they went anywhere else, if they went to Fremont and some other places, they would have to pay something. So within reason, because we want them to come back. And and these are our kids that are playing on those fields. So I think having something from what the city charges for Silliman, for their soccer and all the things they do there, I think would be, so we're on the same page. And now when it comes to the McGregor field, this is a question, does the city get revenue out of that, or and that's
if I may, just a point of order is we are having that conversation with the city liaison committee.
So we need to push
via
that off.
MOUs.
Okay.
That wasn't added into this mix on purpose.
Okay.
So that's not something we had to factor in.
Because it is our field. So so anyway, thank you for the report and for our partnership. And you threw out a big number there. So it is a source of revenue which we're after, but yet we also want to keep the balance, like the superintendent says, in taking care of our community people. So,
I think we have some good direction as to how we can rework it and bring it back at the next meeting.
I agree.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so right now we're going to bring this back to at the next board meeting or in the future?
That'll give us time to rework it.
Okay, good. Okay, the next one is the agreement with Ryland School Business Consulting. I need a motion and a second. Did you want to make a?
I think I think everybody knows why. So this is the group we brought in to help as an outside partner on budget reduction.
Right. Okay. So.
I move.
Okay. Member Gutierrez moves.
I second.
Member Yang seconds. I'm gonna mess up his name all the time, I guess. Okay. Open for voting. Let's close it and try again. Clear and close. Okay, please vote. Okay, Member Martinez.
Question I had in my head, sorry.
You got it, or you want to do a hand vote?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, good. Okay.
Did it go through? I clicked.
Yeah.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. 13.4, Audit Committee Voting Member Reappointment, Ms. Lynn Klein.
I move that we approve Ms. Klein as a member of the Audit Committee.
Okay. Member Thomas moves. Need a second?
I second.
Ms. Martinez, Member Martinez seconds. Okay, please vote. Oh, I didn't vote. Okay. Motion passes. 13.5, Audit Committee non-voting member reappointment, Mr. Aaron Wentz. Weiss. Need a motion?
Okay, I move that we reappoint Member Weiss to the non-voting member of the Audit Committee.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Member Thomas and Member Martinez second. Is that correct?
Correct.
Ms. Gutierrez?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, good. Got it. Okay, motion passes unanimously. 13.6, monthly business transaction report for November 2018. Need a motion and a second.
I move that we accept the monthly transaction report.
Member Thomas moves.
I'll second that.
Member Gutierrez seconds. Please vote. Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Resolution to declare surplus equipment. Need a motion and a second.
I move to declare surplus of the equipment for motion, new
Member
business
Gutierrez
13.7.
moves. Second.
I second.
Member Martinez seconds. Please vote. Motion passes 6 ayes. Donations report 13.8. Need a motion and a second.
I move we accept the report.
Member Thomas moves that we accept the donations report.
I'll second that.
Member Gutierrez seconds. Please vote. Okay, motion passes. Superintendent, you want to read that for us, or Member Thomas, did you want to read it? If you have it.
Which one are we doing?
The donations report.
Oh, okay, gladly.
Okay, 13.8.
$616 for NEF Summer Music Program from Newark Education Foundation. $400 for Newark Memorial High School from Motivate LLC for the robotics team. In-kind donation of a piano from Gary Stadler for NUSD use. $240 for Newark Junior High from Your Cause LLC, trustee for PG&E for school use as determined by the principal. In-kind donation of 3D figure of human muscle anatomy for Newark Memorial High School. Various donors through Donors Choose for Science Department per Mrs. Jane Burns. $500 for Newark Memorial High School, Above All Plumbing for the Drama Department. $1,000 for Newark Memorial High School, Wendy Ann and Stephen Stacy for the Drama Department. $500 for Graham Elementary from Barragan Inc. or La Morenita Market for 6th grade science camp. In-kind donation of stationary exercise bike from McGregor campus. I think that's for Coach Hess's class. From Mark and Tyler Elkins for McGregor use. In-kind donation of 19 office chairs from Fremont Bank per CL Santos for McGregor use. Total of $3,256.11 in donations.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for all those that donate and give to our children. Besides time, give money. Thank you. Appreciate it. 13.9, the Mission Valley SALPA local plan. Need a motion and a second.
I move.
Member
I second.
Jerry's moves. Member. See, that's why I want to be in the middle. Ms. Martinez seconds. Please vote. Motion passes all unanimously. 5 ayes. 13.10, amendment to employment contract for Leticia Salinas to go to Associate Superintendent of Ed Services. We've already discussed this in closed session, so it's up to the board. I mean, it's here in open session to be voted on by the board. I need a motion and a second.
I move approval.
Member Thomas moves approval.
I second that.
Member Gutierrez seconds.
Just a point of order, just so you know, the copy has the amended changes the board recommended, and there is copies in the back for the public. There's a blue line version.
Got it. Red line.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Please vote. Member Yang. Thank you. Okay, motion passes. 5 ayes. Convey our thank you and congratulations.
I just texted her right now.
Okay. To our Associate Superintendent, Ms. Leticia Salinas. 13.11, Board Policy 6162.52, High School Exit Examination, in parentheses, removal.
I vote that we remove that policy.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Member Thomas makes the motion. Member Gutierrez seconds. Okay. Okay, please vote. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. 13.12, Board Policy Administrative Regulation 0520.2, Title I Program Improvement Schools, removal.
I move that we remove that policy.
Member Gutierrez moves. Need a second.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Member Thomas seconds. Please vote.
We do have 5 board members.
He's just checking out the landscape. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your vote. Motion passes 5 ayes. Okay. Next one is first reading. On the first, when we bring our board policy, we have the ability to vote on it at first reading, but the norm has been in the past that we normally bring it back for second reading, and that's at the discretion of the board. So this is a board policy 0500, accountability, first reading. What is the pleasure of the board?
I think we should pull it back. I mean, bring
it
it back next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
For second reading and
For a
potential
second.
adoption.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, great. Gives you more time to look at it and
Ask more questions.
ask more questions.
That's all right.
13.14, we have,
Well, that was pulled.
oh, we pulled that?
Yes.
Okay.
13.
That's the one that you wanted to speak on, Mr. Parks? Okay, so that'll be coming back at the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, next we move to consent agenda, personal items. Item 14.1, CSU East Bay Memorandum of Understanding for SELPA internship. Anybody want to address that, or
just share what it is, Jennifer? This is exciting news, so.
So this is actually a speech and language pathologist assistant internship. So they are going to be providing us with this person who is going to be getting hours, and they will be able to learn to be a better speech and language assistant and assist our speech and language therapists.
Thank you. I love partnerships where we get interns.
Yeah.
What does it cost us?
Nothing.
That's what I like to hear. We like that even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, need a motion and a second?
I move to pass this resolution.
14.1, Member Gutierrez moves. Need a second?
Yeah, I second. I second.
Member John.
Member John. Hey, second. All right. Okay. Okay, please vote. Okay. 14.1 passes unanimously. 14.2.
So similarly to what Ms.
Can you give me just 1 second?
Sure.
Alliant International University Memorandum of Understanding for Interns, 14.2.
So similar as our previous presenter, this also has to do with a partnership in an effort to bring more interns to our district.
Okay, great. Thank you. Need a motion and a second.
I move approval.
Member Thomas moves approval.
I second.
Member Martinez seconds. Please vote. Okay, motion passes unanimously, 5 ayes. 14.3, my favorite subject, cheerleading program. Do we have anybody that wants to?
Just wanted to reiterate the cheerleading program's been running under a club at the high school for the last few years. Because this is a contact sport, we needed to create an MOU between NTA to ensure the safety of our girls. So therefore, we're proposing an MOU with cheerleading to transfer them into activities and to treat it as a sport.
Excellent. Thank you for working with them on that. I had 3 daughters, that, 3 young ladies in cheerleading. Okay, I need a motion and a second.
I move to change the program, cheerleading club into a sport.
I second.
Long overdue. Okay, please vote. Member Gutierrez makes a motion, Mr. Yang seconds, and I need to vote. Okay, got it. All right, excellent. Okay. Motion passes 6 ayes. Are you gonna relay the message to whoever got, to the cheerleading people?
Sure. Due to some changes to the personal report, is that what we're talking about? We will need.
No. I'm talking about the fact we just voted to the cheerleading group. You're gonna.
Oh, they're watching on TV?
Oh, probably watching on TV. Great. Anyway, thank you, Jessica, for. Yes. Okay, 14.4, personal report. Superintendent?
Pretty much everything stays the same except for the amended one that was related to 13 point, the one that we pulled.
1.4.
13.14. That's the only omission that would be pulled from this. Is that
Jessica?
correct?
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
You're the expert.
I move that we accept the personnel report.
Member Thomas moves that we accept the personnel report. 14.4.
As amended.
As amended.
As amended.
I'll second that.
Member Gutierrez seconds. Please vote. Motion passes. 5 ayes. Thank you. Consent agenda. So these, we normally ask if anybody wants to pull any of the 15.1, 15.2, developer fees, quarterly report on contracts, 15.3 warrant report for November 2018, 15.4 warrant report for December 2018, 15.5 curricular overnight trip to Newark Memorial Puente students to go to Southern California, 15.6 not curricular field trip requests, Snow Elementary, 6th graders to go to Santa Clara, 15.7 amendment to master contract with speech pathology group, 15.8 amendment to master contract with Ascend Rehab, 15.9 was pulled, 15.10 Williams Uniform Complaint Quarterly Report, October 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018. Need a motion?
I move.
So it would be 15.1 through, except for 15.9, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, please vote. Oh, need a second. Need a second?
I'll second it.
Member Thomas seconds, Ms. Gutierrez. Ms. Gutierrez? Member Gutierrez?
Second was Martinez. Oh, sorry, Thomas.
Thomas. Okay. Ms. Martinez, you want to vote? Member Martinez, please. That's okay. Thank you. All right, motion passes. Okay. Amendment, okay. So, again, thank you to staff and for working in getting our kids to go on these field trips and making sure that there's plenty of parent representation per student. That's something that's big for us. Okay, that gets us to the Board of Education Committee reports, announcements, requests, debrief, and discussion. I'm going to start with our newest board member, Mr. Yang. Yang? John, there you go.
Just like the first
John.
Right. Yeah, he came over and told me today, and I still messed it up. So, okay.
Yeah, I just have an announcement so on Friday, February the 1st, at Fremont Family Clover Leaf, the Family Bowl, there's a Teacher Appreciation Day for the employees at Newark Unified School District. That's from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. That's just reserved for our employees in our district. Probably at the same time also for the New Haven district, and the free bowling, free shoe rentals, free pizza, free soft drinks. And so make sure if you want to go, RSVP Mike Hillman or Karen Rosburn, and the number, I want to repeat the phone number, 510-656-4411. So that's the RSVP number. The address is 40645 Fremont Boulevard, Suite 3, Fremont, California. And again, it's Friday, February the 1st from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. just for our employees in our district. And the reservation number is 510-656-4411. Address 40645 Fremont Boulevard, Suite 3, Fremont, California. Yeah.
We love Cloverleaf. Okay. Okay, anything else?
That's it.
I know it was your first board meeting. We thank you, okay, for, it's not easy, okay, and you've done a great job, I think. Okay, Member Gutierrez.
Nothing on my end right now.
Okay, thank you. Member Martinez. You can also share if you visited school during this time, you went to any meetings, stuff like that.
Hello. Okay. Apologize for that. I thought that was on. I have a scheduled appointment tomorrow to visit the ROP program. So I'm really excited about that, just to learn more about what it's got to offer. So I'm going to get a site tour. Really excited and looking forward to new board member training. It's the following weekend. So hopefully I'll come back, full of resources in our brain, and we can really help drive, the improvements that we need. I'm speaking as a mom tomorrow. Birch Grove Intermediate is having bingo night, disco bingo night. So everybody is welcome.
Thank you, Member Thomas.
Okay, there's several requests that I had previously that I'd like to make again, just so they don't get lost. One is MOT report, what's the condition of our facilities, work orders, the fit reports, kind of an overview of that. An ADIS update, maybe. They are about halfway through our $500,000 work that we were giving them, so it'd be nice if they could come and tell us what they're learning and what they're doing. We had an October list for Measure G that we kind of said would be expedited so that we could spend a majority of those funds by next summer. So what is the plan? Do we have a plan to have a new construction manager to lead and get the bids for those? Just curious. I'd like to thank the audit committee. Ms. Martinez is the new chair of the audit committee. We were very pleased with the staff, Kai, Sarah, Kim, for the wonderful work they did in working with the auditor, and congratulations on passing the audit with just some minor problems. Like to thank the superintendent for helping expedite a visit to Birch Grove Intermediate for 10 no, not 10, but there was 10 people there at least, but 4 principals from China and some of their colleagues. And they apparently had a fantastic time. They got to visit classrooms. They got a wonderful presentation that I wish we could share with maybe with the board and with the public on what Birch Grove Intermediate is doing for STEAM. I appreciate the quarterly reports on contracts, and I did send you a couple notes for things that we might look out for, like dates and making sure that we have redacted personal information on any of the contracts. And I will be going to the CIF meeting on January 31st, so I'm a CSBA representative to that. That's my report.
Thank you. What was that group you said?
California Interscholastic Federation.
No, I mean before that.
ADIS, the
Facility Master Plan.
Facility Master Plan.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I have a couple items on board requests. Since we have new board members, besides giving the request here, if you want to email it to myself or to superintendent, it's been kind of difficult with the transition and having new board members and everything, and with the budget. But it's not that we don't value your request. They are, and we want to be able to talk about it and see where we can get the request on. So if you want to email me, that'd be great also. And besides mentioning it here, the we had during the winter break, we had one of our students that passed away, our special ed students. At some point in the future, when the family says it's okay, I'd like to adjourn the meeting in honor of the student. But we've got to make sure we're clear with the family, make sure it's okay with them. Maybe Ms. Willis, you can help us with that. This coming Monday is Martin Luther King. Now I know, Member Thomas, I saw you at the church. Can you share that for me, if you don't mind?
Well, why don't you, because you were there?
No, I didn't get it. I was in and out, so if you don't mind sharing.
It was a wonderful event. Every year they have it commemorating Martin Luther King, and a big shout out to Ms. Hong?
Jan Hong?
Yeah. For the choral group that was outstanding, and BGI, bless them, Ms. Catherine Waters' school students performed as well with one of the music for minors teachers that kind of led them. It was just an outstanding event, and there were elected officials from Newark, Fremont, and Union City. How many of us were there? About 20. Yeah, maybe 20. So it was a great event, and in the future, we should make sure that we know when it is, and we can all make time to go.
Not to interrupt you, but we need to, they normally drop off an invitation at the district office in December, and but they don't like to email, so they leave it at that. So maybe. Yeah,
because I only found out about it at the last minute.
Right. So we'll find a way to make that, and I've talked to Gene on it, and it's just, they have so many people they invite. And then they have one coming up where it's going to be at the community center over there on Cedar. And I think that's this coming Sunday, where they have like vendors there. And then Martin Luther King Day is Monday, and the schools are closed.
Correct.
Right? Okay. The other thing I have is we have a city and school meeting. Now, any meeting that we have, anybody's welcome to attend, but if there's more than 2 board members, then we just have to kind of sit there in the corner and not say anything. So, but they are open meetings, and so that's coming up also with the city and schools. And the last thing I had is anytime that we have a presentation, whether it be a staff report or now that's available to the public where if they wanted a copy of what Mr. Nguyen, they can get that?
Yes.
Okay. Would they, if they
usually
can go on the
upload
website, if it's on the website? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Kino.
So what'll happen after this evening's meeting tomorrow on board docs, there is a library called supplemental documents. It will be dated, and everything that was presented this evening that wasn't attached to the agenda will be in the supplemental documents. So any changes to items and things like that, they'll be there tomorrow.
Thank you. So before we go to the superintendent for his closing statement, the last thing I had was, we have new board members, and you got training coming up. So I've had requests from Member Martinez and Member Gutierrez to join me, which has been our common practice, to make sure that when we do the agenda, we have at least 2 people there. And we've tried to do that. I know you did an excellent job of doing that. So you've already told us so. So if you would like to come, and if I'm out of town or I can't make it, then Vice President Thomas will be doing the agenda, and then she'll be inviting one of you also. So, and hopefully it's something that, and it's normally done because of the meetings being changed, Board Member Martinez. Now we're going to get together the prior week, probably, what do we figure, on Thursday? Probably Friday. Friday? Okay, right. And if we can have the agenda out by Friday evening, try our best. If not, the latest by Monday, and you'll have it a few days before the meeting. So if you have any questions or something, you can, you'll have more time now, and thank you. And then before, because before we had the weekend, and that kind of got in the way. So, so hopefully that helps, okay? And again, thank you. And Superintendent Sanchez. And it's 9:30, so you got 5 minutes.
President Rodriguez, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, I have a few items. I want to start with the short 100-slide PowerPoint I prepared this evening. Actually, just want to remind you again about the dates for the retreat time. That'd be very helpful. Please take a look at the book on your flights, and I know you're traveling, many of you. I think you'll enjoy it, and I look forward to talking to you about that. I want to respond to some of the comments from board members. Don't ever think that we're bothered by any of your questions. I think that's just part of the role, and I worry when you don't ask. So please continue to do that. I do want to share with you that Adriana Lopez and myself were invited recently to 93.3 La Raza radio station. We did an interview to talk about what La Promotoras program has been doing to bring resources and make awareness within our Latino community. It'll be aired this Sunday in Spanish, of course, on that station. So stay tuned, and I can't believe we're close to 9:30. Thank you.
Okay, 9:31. That was good. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Ray.